What's your favorite failure? Maybe you've never thought about, do I have a favorite one or a least favorite one? If you've followed me for any length of time, or if you're a personal friend, you know that I am a huge fan of Huberman Lab and Andrew Huberman's work. This video in some ways is a response to a podcast I heard in May. He said something that stuck with me. He said, without error, the brain is not in a position to change itself. I started thinking how much of our lives we invest in not making errors, in figuring it out, getting it right. I mean, many of us, and myself included, have this backstory that I should do everything right the first time I do it without ever having done it in my whole life. And if I don't, there's something wrong. And I thought that's just so interesting how we're designed and wired to have failure or error, essentially, be part of our transformational journey. Like, we cannot transform our mind, change our way of thinking without making errors and shifting and moving forward. So I was thinking about the term failure, and I know there's a lot of connotation to the word failure. Most people will be like, it's just a learning opportunity. And of course, yes, that's the point. It is a learning opportunity. And if you're a human being, when you miss the mark, when you blow it, it still feels like a failure. It still is emotionally painful or categorized as bad or wrong. So I was thinking, what is my favorite failure? And I had a lot of things to choose from. Let's just put it that way. A lot of different things that I could think of. And probably one of my favorite failures, easily, it must have been 20 plus years ago. I was a brand new trainer and I was facilitating a training. The training itself was not going very well. And instead of being flexible, learning in the moment, shifting, I got more and more rigid. I got more and more controlling. So I don't know if you're like me, when things don't go well, you just get more controlling instead of less controlling. But I definitely did in this situation. It didn't go well. It didn't, a lot of people left. There was a lot of power struggles and frustration, to which of course I contributed much to. And at the end of the day, that whole area, that whole city, the people that I had been working with didn't want to have any more trainings. They didn't want to work with me again, which I understood at the time. And it was a really tough lesson. And I think it's my favorite failure because there were so many things to learn in it. And it did help rewire my brain that when things are going in a way that I didn't expect, which is 90% of the time, things go in ways that I don't expect or plan, instead of immediately getting really controlling and wanting to force it, it is a signal. And I go, whoa, hold on, get curious, be flexible, pay attention, listen to what people are saying. What are you not hearing? What are you adding to the situation that doesn't need to be here? Watch your attitude and your mood in the process. I'm certainly not saying that 100% of the time that's what happens and I learned it and it's done. But I think it's my favorite failure because it started me on that journey of paying attention and wondering and being willing to trust in the middle of a process that I could release my control and trust that there's resource even in the things that I didn't see coming or that aren't the way I think they should be, or when people aren't the way I think they should be, whether it's their participation or responses, etc. So let me just challenge you to consider, what's your favorite failure? And you can have more than one, that's fine. But let's look at failure as an opportunity to allow our brains to change, to give them some motivation to have something new. And if we don't want to look at our failures, then we are probably stuck repeating the same ones over and over and blaming somebody else or something else or the circumstances for what happened, instead of being willing to take responsibility and see what was missed and how we could have been differently, done something differently, thought differently, engaged in a new way in those moments. If this video sparked some new ways of thinking for you, feel free to like, subscribe, share, or put in the comments, what's your favorite failure?